And that's
That's my
something
marriage.
like I love that you said that because it's something that I've been thinking about the last couple of days, just in conversations. I did a talk for a conference, and it was basically the theme that you see a lot in men's ministry, like battle cries and pick up your stuff and run headfirst into the fight.
Yeah.
And what you've just said is something that you and I have talked about so much. It's like as men, because we want to have this sort of heroic, like, I'm going to go out and save the day, but we place all that on the exterior and we don't spend any time on the interior where the true battle really is. Like we feel like, okay, I got to
Mhm.
go fight this war, but it's like what kind of warrior, what kind of soldier, to use that sort of language, are you going to be if you haven't even won the battle in your own heart, like won the
Oh
battle in
my
your own
gosh.
soul, right? Like to know that I have
Yeah.
wounds. I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to heal the wounds of others or try to do this stuff and carry the flag of the gospel and of Christ, which is a great intention. But to do that without first like delving into what needs fixed in here, right? What's
Right.
disoriented in here?
Exactly.
And a lot of times we do that
That's
as
like,
men. We're like, I'm going to go join every Knights of Columbus group and every men's group, and I'm going to fill my week full of everything Christian so that I can feel like you know what I mean? And I don't mean to, I'm not
terrible idea.
knocking that,
Yeah.
but just to do
No, no, no.
everything so I can go out and like really live for Christ. It's like, no, Christ wants you to know who you are and know that you're His. And then once you've figured out those things, you've dealt with those wounds, like with your infertility, you could have easily said, kids aren't from me, they're for me, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me, right? Like I can't have kids, but kids are from
Mhm.
me, and that's not what you said. You basically said, Lord, if this is your will, like even though I don't like it, and even though it's tough and it hurts and it's
Yeah. You got
unexpected,
to say that out loud. Yeah.
right? Like this is something that we still are all in on your plan, and we know that you have something in front of us. So like yeah, like it just reminded me that when you said that, is so often as men we want to like
Mm.
we just put on the exterior and go instead of saying like let me dive into my own heart. So like how do you do that in your own life? Like how do you for men out there that are
Yeah.
struggling maybe with infertility or as
Yeah.
being fathers, like what are things you put into practice in your life to help
Yeah.
really heal that interior stuff going on before you go out and project on the exterior?
Yeah. Gosh, John, good
Is
stuff.
that a good
I mean,
question or like
yeah.
have I
I
confused you well? I'm just kidding.
No, no, no. I'm a constant student, right? I mean,
Hmm.
constant student. Learning in the school of life and the school of
Sure.
the family. So, but one of the things that you were just talking about, like, the do, and I got this, and I'm going to make it happen, and I'm going to. Um, I was thinking of Dr. Peter Kraft, and I know he's
Mm.
a fan of, you're a fan of his, and I'm a huge fan
Sure.
since I was a teenager of Dr. Peter Kraft, and you just got to interview him
Yeah.
recently. I had a little
Yeah. It
holy
was
jealousy
awesome.
there, John. Yeah, I had a little holy
I got to
jealousy.
tell you, he has a sense of humor that is just hilarious. Like
Oh, he does.
he's
Well, here's my point.
yeah.
He once said, the soundtrack of Hell, the theme song of Hell, I did it my way. Frank
Yeah.
Sinatra.
Yeah. That's
And I'm
right.
like, dang. Well, that's the thing, and you may have the best intentions. I'm part of these 6 Bible studies and I do all this. Meanwhile, your wife and kids are like, great, where are you? We need you here. Like, this is the primary vocation.
Yeah.
Uh, but and it can become such a self-reliant thing. It can become such like this look what I did.
Yeah.
And again, we can delude ourselves. We really can. It's kind of that spiritual pride that creeps in. It's
Hmm.
easy to get lost in that activity. But the greatest thing we can do is that vulnerability, is that
Sure.
opening up and letting the Father have His way. So how do I like? What are some ways I try to do that? Every day, I look at the crucifix. We got crucifixes everywhere, right? Our church, any good Catholic house, we got crucifixes in
Sure.
the bedroom. We got crucifixes in the living room, by the front door, and I try to look at the crucifix because if the Vatican II document talks about Jesus Christ fully reveals man to himself and makes his supreme calling clear. That's Gaudium et Spes 22, I think.
Sure.
John Paul II loved that quote. So I look at this body, this nearly naked body of a man, the God man, arms wide open, pinned to the cross, letting the Father have His way with him.
Mm.
If I could look at that crucifix every morning and spend just a few quiet minutes just holding a crucifix in my hand, looking at the crucifix, There it is, in the very language of his body. That's it. Bishop Fulton Sheen used to say the crucifix is every man's autobiography.
Wow.
Take that, right? Like put that in your holy hour and smoke it. The crucifix is every man's autobiography. So ultimately, I don't have to look any further. Just look at him.
Yeah.
What's he doing? What is he doing? He's being completely vulnerable and open to the Father. And it might seem like, well, wait, you have divine powers. You could literally do anything
Sure.
in the world. You could just blast through and redeem the world with strength and might and power and robes of glory flowing behind you, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like it's almost so counterintuitive. Like, wait, what? That's success? That's victory? Okay, there's no other way. St. Faustina said this, right? If there was another way other than suffering, Jesus would have shown us.
Wow.
But
yeah.
but it was suffering. So I look to the Lord and the crucifix. I look to my great mentors like Peter Kraft, great spiritual authors like Bishop Fulton Sheen, John Paul II, Joseph, Saint Joseph.
Yeah.
The language of his body, his quiet, obedient heart, but his strength too. You know, his virility, his closeness to Mary. So I look at these other men and their incredible devotion, their intellect, their passion, their creativity, and just like how they live. I look at my own father too. And I know this, you know, depending on who's listening in here, everybody's got a father, and my dad's not perfect. But I look at my dad, and I learned even through like the divorce, through the 2 strokes he suffered soon after in his late 30s. I mean, he was completely immobilized. I look at the suffering of my father and how it took him down to his knees, and he's been on his knees for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
Letting the Lord like be his rock. And then I'm like, that's it. That's what I got to do. So I got to constantly be in a posture of openness and learning. And from that, right, when I drink it in through my prayer every day, then I can launch out of that space of looking and listening, and then I can start like the doing. I can't flip it around, like get up and start rocking it, right? No, first just spend time being, listening, looking.